Winston Churchill, the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, once said, "There's nothing wrong with change as long as it's in the right direction." That reminds me of an old saying: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just because something is functional doesn't mean that everybody is getting treated fairly. I've always thought that the same opportunities should be made available to everyone despite being wealthy or poor. Today I'm going to tell you about why the United States needs to adopt a universal healthcare system. I'm going to focus on the success of the universal healthcare system in the United Kingdom. I'm going to talk about our current healthcare system and ultimately why we need to adopt the same one as the United Kingdom. Healthcare in the UK is very effective and economical. Their structure allows them to have exceptional benefits made to everyone because they believe that healthcare should be a right and not a privilege. England, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales all have their variations of this publicly funded system, but as a collective, the total expenditure as a proportion of GDP is 8.5%, whereas the rest of Europe has an average of 8.9%. Their system improves the quality of life for everyone. No one has to worry about losing their jobs and not being able to get coverage or not being able to gain coverage because of a pre-existing condition. But its strongest benefit is that there's no maximum payouts like you might have with a private plan. Their success has been recognized globally. It's ranked number one in the world for being the best overall system, and that's because they're very patient oriented, the system's efficient, and the care is easily accessible. They also have the best palliative care system in the world, meaning that that approach specializes in care for those with life limiting illnesses. Their system is fair to everybody that utilizes it. Hurdles and obstacles are eliminated as they arise, and financial burdens are taken away from those who normally can't afford them. So now we're going to talk about what the United States' system looks like in comparison. Personally, I think our healthcare system is a complete disaster. We have the most expensive system in the world and provide coverage for far less people than other countries. Privatizing healthcare has allowed middlemen to make a substantial profit. Currently, 86% of every $1 spent goes to actual care, meaning that it costs 14 cents for a private healthcare company to administer it. Hospitals and dialysis centers have became for profit when they should be patient oriented. As a result, the people who need care aren't getting it. Obamacare now didn't necessarily tackle the fundamental problem. Yes, a $1 trillion investment might have provided care for more people initially, but by giving private insurance companies more money, they're going to have control of the industry over the long run. Recently, President Trump signed an executive order that weakened Obamacare, and that primarily focused on repealing the Obamacare tax for the people who pay for it and don't use the Obamacare or don't qualify for it. Now, currently, we keep going back in circles and changing our healthcare system, and we're not making any progress. Everyone has different views on how healthcare should be structured, but regardless of those views and your political affiliation, I think it's safe to say that healthcare and corporate interests just don't go together. For the US to no longer have the most expensive healthcare system in the world, we need to implement a universal healthcare system. The benefits received would be tremendous. First off, it's simply just good for humanity. When we can admit that healthcare is not a privilege, we can improve the quality of life in the United States. We can make this happen simply by expanding Medicare to everyone. Now, the cost to administer Medicare is only 2 cents. Now, compared to the 14 cents it costs to have private insurance companies do it, we would be left with an extra 12 cents to improve our healthcare system. Hospitals would follow the same funding procedure as a fire department. They would receive one check per month and be able to pay all their employees and cover all their costs that way. The biggest strength from that would be that we'd be able to eliminate billing offices. On average, there are 150 employees in a billing office. Now, I'd rather put 150 care providers to work rather than monitoring inequality. I've witnessed the downfalls to private care firsthand. One of my family members had to pay for his spouse's back surgery out of pocket because he reached his maximum payout for the calendar year. And personally, I no longer receive health care through the state since I work full time. Even though I necessarily can't afford it, I receive healthcare through my current job. Universal healthcare might work in other countries, and many people might think it won't work here. But a well structured and tailored plan to our country's needs will prove that to be wrong. Most of us are approaching a point in our life where we'll need to start paying for healthcare out of pocket. Now you have to ask yourself, do you want your healthcare to be limited due to corporate interest?